Okay, so today I am analysing Manchester United. This was quite difficult. I did a Spurs one the other day. Doing Man United was a lot harder. Firstly, I am a Spurs fan, so I'm just a bit more knowledgeable of Tottenham. But still, the Man United one was difficult to do. So I have a few things to go through mainly. As you can see, there's 5 things they need to sell, so which players to sell. To be honest, not the most difficult question to answer. Number 2 is Mainu and Amad Diallo in particular. Number 3 is a new striker that scores lots of goals. Number 4 is new centre-backs, and number 5 is a new goalkeeper. So I think a good place to start is the 2 players, Amad Diallo and Kobbie Mainoo. And as you can see, 20 years old Kobbie Mainoo, 23 years old Amad Diallo. These 2 for me are the 2 players Manchester United should be building around. When you think of a football club, you need to think of everything, right? Who are the young players? Who are the homegrown players? Because they're very important. And you also need to think of money. And if you have 2 players that are already at your club, 2 very big talents that have world-class talent, I would say, I think you have to build around them. Now, with some of the signings that Man United have made and the formation that Rubin Amorim plays, I don't think it gets the best out of these players. I'll discuss it a little bit more. But Kobbie Mainoo for me can be one of the best midfielders in the world. I believe that in 3-4 years. And Amad Diallo can literally beat teams on his own. And they've kind of now stunted his growth with a new signing. We'll go over that though a little bit more. But I do believe going into this window, that should have been on the mind of Manchester United, that these 2 players are the 2 that they should be building around. Because like I said, I think there's an opportunity with these 2 players to be maybe world class. Okay, before we jump into more, I've got the squad here, and I did the same in my Tottenham video. So I've got nearly the entire squad. I haven't really included youngsters that haven't played because I'm just not knowledgeable of them. Basically, the greener the position, the better I think it is. Obviously, if it's red, that means I don't think it's good at all and it needs improving instantly. Manchester United cannot have a goalkeeper that's red and striker. Oh, and you might notice that some players are red highlighted. They're the players I think should leave Manchester United. So like I said, the greener it is, you can see the goalkeeper, Onana, Bayendia, Heaton. Onana, I don't think is good enough. Bayendia, however you say his name, I don't think is good enough either. But yeah, they have to improve on that. Going into the centre-backs, the reason Yoro is orange is he's a little unknown. He's very young. I wasn't super impressed with him, to be honest, last year. I thought there were highlights of him being good though, but also depth. That's why that position is orange. De Ligt and Maguire again is kind of lighter orange because De Ligt I think is a decent player. Maguire needs to leave though. And also when you consider like Liverpool have Van Dijk, Man City have Diaz, Arsenal have Saliba. De Ligt's not on that level compared to those teams. And that's where Man United want to be. So I think for now, De Ligt's fine. But in the future, something they could improve on, definitely. And again, Martinez, Shaw, that's orange. 2 talented players, Martinez and Shaw, especially Martinez. But he's got huge injury problems. If he could stay fit, he would be a definite starter for Man United. But again, that injury issues, depth. Shaw, for me, has to leave. You know when a player just needs to leave the club? Not because he's a bad player, but the move just hasn't really worked. Now this is actually where it starts to improve for Man United. We got Mazraoui, Diallo, 2 players that exceeded my expectations last year. I thought Mazraoui was really good. You might notice I'm looking at the screen here and not at the camera. That's because I have the team there. So yeah, Mazraoui, Diallo, 2 players that exceeded my expectations last year. And I think 2 strong right wing backs actually. Dorgu, Shaw, Amas. Now, Amas is someone that's apparently very talented. Dorgu, again, I've heard good things. I have to see it for myself before I give that a green. I know there's excitement for Dorgu, but I don't think he was great last year when he came in, but one to look out for. So I've gone for yellow for that. Mainoo, Casemiro, again, just positionally, Mainoo and Casemiro in the 2 in midfield. I'm not sold on that. I think actually talent-wise, that's very good. That's why it's a yellow. And then the green for Bruno and Ugarte, that's mainly for Fernandes. And I think Ugarte, though he's not an amazing player, I do think he offers something. As depth, I think is a good option. Cunha, Mount, Garnacho. Now, although I have to be sold Garnacho, and I think that definitely will happen, Matheus Cunha is someone I rate very highly. I'll get onto him a little bit more now. And on the other side, Mbumo and Ahmad and Garnacho. I really like that right side. That's very good depth-wise, even though, like I said, I have a bit of a problem with the Mbumo signing. I'll get onto that, though, a little bit more. But then you get onto Højlund and Xerxes. Xerxes highlighted orange because I'm not sure whether he should leave or not, or whether he is leaving. That's more of a he might leave. Højlund, yeah, I think Højlund should leave. Try and get a bit of money for him. Ultimately, that striker position for Man United needs improving. So here I have the actual 11 just as a strongest 11, and on paper it's not the worst team ever. I have ticks on positions that I know that I like and that I think are good enough anyway for Manchester United level. But even like the formation I don't like. I don't think it suits this team and gets the best out of these players. And then I have an X on Højlund and Onana, because I think those two positions need strengthening. But looking at that 11, it's not the worst ever. It really isn't. Right, so you have my very messy slide here. Heaton has actually stayed, so we don't really need to worry about him. But the other three have left: Lindelof, Evans, Eriksen, and I think that's very good for Man United to get those players off the books. They weren't good enough, not at the level for Man United, so that's a positive. I then think they need to sell these players: Garnacho, Højlund, Rashford, who they have sold to Barcelona by option anyway, Antony, Sancho, Malacia, and Onana. I think they should try very hard to sell all of these players this window, and I think they could accumulate around £130 million for these players, especially if Saudi come in as well. We know they like to overpay. Garnacho and Højlund, Sancho, Antony, Onana, I do think have value. I think they can be good players elsewhere. You know, we saw Antony at Betis, we saw Sancho at Dortmund roughly a year ago. Højlund at Atalanta was a good player. Garnacho, we know, has talent, and Onana at Inter Milan was good. So we know these players have value, just at Manchester United it doesn't work. So I think, yeah, 130 million, they could get that for these players. I'm just going to talk about the new signings that they have made, Man United. The two attackers, Cunha and Mbumo. We'll get on to Mbumo in a second, but Matheus Cunha, I think, is an excellent signing. I do believe he was a top 5 player in the Premier League last year. When I look at the level Salah was at, which was an incredible level, I don't think Cunha was that much worse than Mohamed Salah. I really think it's one of the signings of the summer, if not the signing of the summer, because I didn't expect them to be able to pull such a good player. Some of the goals he scored last year, there was a goal against, who was it? It might have been Aston Villa, where he had the ball for ages, and then he just kind of takes 2 players on by himself and just smashes it in the corner. And you can just tell he had so much confidence and swagger in that moment. And to be honest, through the entire season, he's a player that can do special things on a football pitch. He can make the difference. I get that he walks a lot. That doesn't really matter. You have players like Mbumo who are going to do the running. You have players like Mount who can do the running. You have, if you sign a striker that will do the running as well, it doesn't really matter because you accommodate to that. He's a player that can do very special things. He's one of the best players in the Premier League. I believe certainly one of the best attackers. Incredible signing for Man United. What Cunha reminds me of is Moussa Dembele, if Moussa Dembele could also score goals. Moussa Dembele has become the most overrated player in football history, but he was very good. Cunha to me is just a better version of Moussa Dembele, to be honest, an attacking version of Moussa Dembele, and that would be a very good player, and he is a very good player. Bryan Mbumo, look, I have nothing wrong with the talent and the player that Mbumo is. I think he is good. He scored 20 Premier League goals last year. First time getting over 10 goals. So this isn't... Man United aren't signing a world-class player. I think they are signing a good Premier League player. What it does for me, though, is it stunts Ahmad's progress. Because Man United aren't in Europe, because we beat them. And that just means for me that Ahmad isn't going to get the game time necessary for him to develop fully. Because Mbumo, right now, is the better player. He's better than Ahmad right now, I believe. He's just more complete at this moment in time than Ahmad and has that confidence, and he's closer to his prime than Ahmad. He's a couple years older. Do you love it when your phone goes off, the house phone? Why the fuck do we have a house phone in 2025? There was also a goal. He scored against Spurs. I mention Spurs a lot just because it's very easy to reference. When someone plays well against your team, you just notice it more. 22-23 season, I believe. Harry Kane actually scored a ridiculous free kick that game. Like, Kulusevski rolled it back to him and he hit it top corner. But then Mbumo scored 2 goals. And the second one was so good. It was an amazing run. Beats his fullback with the run. A through ball is played through. And it was just so Thierry Henry-like. Just slots it into the bottom corner. And he does have a very good left foot. I don't deny that. I do think, though, I don't think he does as well as people think. And I do think he's a good player. I just think, why sign him when you can invest in other positions in the squad that you need more, like I said, a goalkeeper or a striker, and you also have one of your best players and biggest talents, I believe, in that position that you're signing him in. To me, it just doesn't make the most sense, though I do understand that he is a good player. Okay, so we've gone through the Kobe and Mainoo thing, the new signings. Now we're looking at the new strikers, and of course Man United are linked with every striker. They're also linked with Sesko pretty heavily this week as well. These are the 4 that I looked at. Now, Osimhen is joining Napoli. Osimhen's the best player here. 39 played, 37 goals, 7 assists. Pretty special. He's a very special player. I do believe Osimhen is with Haaland and Kane as the 3 best strikers in the world. But you can see that I've got a tick next to Ollie Watkins. And that's because I believe Ollie Watkins is the 5th best striker on the planet. I think it goes Haaland or Kane, whichever order. Then Osimhen, then Alexander Isak, and then I believe it goes Ollie Watkins. I think he's a top 5 striker in the world. I think he's outstanding. We'll get on to him a little bit more as well. Ivan Toney was an option. I think Ivan Toney would be a good sign-in for Man United, and he has the link with Mbumo as well. The thing with Ivan Toney is he's so complete. Very good finisher. He can take free kicks, set pieces, amazing penalty taker, arguably the best in the world. Very good with pressure. Hold-up play is amazing. Heading ability is fantastic. Great passer. I think Ivan Toney's a very good player as well. I just think if you go to Saudi for a couple of years, you don't represent what a Man United striker should. Kolo Muani, a good player. I think Kolo Muani, if he was a backup option at Man United, would be very good. But Kolo Muani can't lead the line for Manchester United, can he? I mean, it's so much pressure. I just don't think he has that aura about him or personality to lead the line for Man United. So I've gone with Ollie Watkins for me as the best player, even above Sesko as well, who I know has been linked with them a lot this week. 75 Premier League goals, 34 Premier League assists as well. Kind of reminds me of Kane in his last season at Spurs, his last couple seasons actually, where just every touch, it's like he's super present with the ball. Just looks after the ball, always makes the right decision, and just super comfortable in the Premier League. That's the type of striker Man United need. They need someone who's very comfortable in the Premier League because it's just too much pressure. It's so much pressure to deliver at Man United, and he, for me, is the player that delivers. Just looking at some of his goals, if we look at this, I've put arrows where he is on the pitch. So he's in the middle of the pitch here. He's marked. He's actually calling for the ball. Then Morgan Rogers gets the ball, and you can instantly see he spots there's a little bit of space where Craig Dawson comes up. He then makes the run because he notices that the ball's in the middle of the pitch. Creates the run. The ball gets slotted through. Ollie Watkins does finish, as he usually does. Very clever, very smart run. And this is something that he's added as well, is he's just very clever. Very streetwise, I find, like Harry Kane as well. The next one is a very good goal because it's much more difficult than it looks. So the ball gets swinged in from Cash. You can see where Watkins is, kind of the back post area. The ball now gets swinged in, and as you can see, Ollie Watkins There's two players ahead of him jumping for the ball. It's very difficult for him to make the perfect connection here. And you can see with this angle, look at the body shape. He has to react very quickly to the volley. And he puts it straight past Raya, off of the bar, by the way. So it is perfect. And it's a very difficult finish. You can see there how quick he has to react because the two players in front of him have missed the header. Two tall players as well, by the way. It's Havertz and someone else. So he has literally a millisecond to adjust his body to shoot. And he does it. And he gets a perfect connection. And he probably puts it in the most perfect spot off the crossbar. The next one, for me, was maybe behind Marmoush, was goal of the season for me. This is a striker's dream of a finish. Makes the run. So Tielemans is about to pass the ball here. Ollie Watkins makes the run. And look at the body position. And if you hadn't seen this goal, and I told you what happens here, you would not think for a second that Ollie Watkins chips Aaron Ramsdale and it comes off of the crossbar. Again, perfect finish. I felt like you didn't need an arrow for this one. Full stretch, how he's finished it and done a perfect chip against Aaron Ramsdale there. I mean, it is just a true poacher's goal, and that's something that Ollie Watkins is. He's a very good poacher, but he also gets involved in the play. He also holds the ball up amazingly. We've seen that in two performances at the Emirates, where he's truly led the line in a world-class fashion. And this is a ridiculous goal. Look at it on. I'll put the link on in the description for this goal. It's an absolute joke. So Ollie Watkins is the striker. Let's have a look at the goalkeeper situation. So with my videos, you will notice that I don't actually go outside of the Premier League when I think of players who are being linked, because I don't watch them. I don't watch any league outside of the Premier League. I only watch the Premier League, and I don't want to do what most YouTubers do and just bullshit my way going on FBref, telling you some stats and pretending that I understand the player when I don't watch them. I watch the Premier League. I understand the Premier League very well. So I only offer real Premier League targets for clubs to buy. So yeah, I've gone with two options here, Emi Martinez and Jordan Pickford. Emi Martinez was 2 years younger. I would say go for Emi Martinez. He's much better than Jordan Pickford. He got a lot worse last year. I really felt that. He made one of the best saves I've ever seen, don't get me wrong. But in fact, I'd actually argue it's the best save I've ever seen. But he wasn't very good at the same time. He made a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors. And I think Jordan Pickford's just more in his prime and more ready for that move than Emi Martinez. I think Jordan Pickford's ready for the move. I think Emi Martinez is kind of on the decline now. And also, I think Jordan Pickford just deserves it. He's not my favourite keeper in the world, but I think he's quite reliable, a very good shot stopper, good with his feet as well, especially with long balls. And I think he has the personality to deal with it. He's also, I would argue, the reason Everton have stayed up in the Premier League. He's also very good in relegation battles, so that will help Man United a lot next year. Here I've gone for more Premier League options that I think would be really good for Man United. So obviously I've got Jordan Pickford, and I believe it would cost about 70 million. I know, it's crazy. Next I've gone for Mark Gahey. To be honest, I think that kind of should really happen. You know, he has a release clause. Man United should be all over that. In a three at the back, I think he would be brilliant. As would Trevor Chalobah, who was very good for Crystal Palace in a back three with Mark Gahey, is up for sale, I believe, from Chelsea. They don't completely want him. Sign him up. I think he would be a very good player for Man United. Again, it's not where Man United want to be, is Trevor Chalobah, but I think for the next couple of years, that would be a very good signing, and is also improvement on what they have and adds depth. Next, I've gone for Jack Hinzelwood. For me, I believe one of the more talented defenders, midfielders in the league at Brighton. Again, maybe 55 million for him. On the last day of the season, he played up front for Brighton, scored 2 against us. I think he's outstanding, Jack Hinzelwood. I think he's a really good player. Very good energy, very good on the ball, very versatile. He plays right back, he can play left back, he can play midfield, he can play in one of the 10s, he can play as a striker. I like him a lot. I think that would be a great signing for Man United if they did sign him. I've also gone for Bellegarde. and Douglas Luiz in midfield. And the reason I've gone for Bellegarde is kind of the versatility. He can play in midfield. He can play on one of the 10s. He's just good. He's a good player. Got an eye for a pass as well. I did watch some videos on him before I chose to put him in this. And a few Wolves fans believe he has really good crossing and passing, and that he was very good in the second half of the season. So I've just went with him also for more depth and versatility, which I think is something that's very important in a Rubin Amorim 3 at the back thing. I think versatility is important. And then I went with Douglas Luiz loan. I think that would be, again, a very good sign-in for Man United. He hasn't really cut it at Juventus, so I believe you could get him at a discount price. Douglas Luiz can be a really good footballer on his day. Versatile again, very good on the ball, very good DM. I like him a lot. I think that would be a very good sign-in for Man United. And we've gone for, like I said, Ollie Watkins as the striker. Now, if I was to say Man United have to sign 3 of them, it would be Pickford, Guéhi, Watkins, and then see what you can do, because I've gone for a total estimate of roughly 345 million for these players, which is a lot, and I don't believe Man United could afford that. So if they were just to get 3, I would get Pickford, Guéhi, Watkins, 3 proven Premier League players, clearly all very good as well. Maybe Pickford's just good, maybe not very good, but the other 2 are a loan for Luiz, which would be free, and Chalobah, which, you know, is 35 million perhaps. I think that could happen as well. Then what I've done is I've gone for the team with those signings, and I really do believe it just looks so much stronger than it did at the start of the video. So we've got Pickford from Bay India, and then we've got Chalobah and Yoro. We've got De Ligt and Guéhi. That to me, as a back 3, just looks so much stronger than what it currently does. Dorgu, Mazraoui with Hinzelwood and Dalot as the backups. Harry Hamas, as the backup left back as well. So those are really good options. Fernandes and Luiz. And I also think Luiz can work really well in a midfield too as well. Bellegarde, another reason why I actually went with him is because he played this system at Wolves. So if you look at where he played at Wolves, he very often played in a midfield too, or as one of those Mbeumo or Cunha positions. So he can do either one. So that's why I went with him as well. And then you've got Ugarte, so you've got good depth and good quality in midfield. You've got Cunha and Mount, and Mbeumo and Ahmad. Again, the depth there is very good. And then Watkins and Xerxes. Now, I've gone with Xerxes because I think Xerxes has talent. And on the ball, I do think he's a really good player. But behind Watkins, the proven Premier League player, I think that's very good striker options. A little bit more on the Watkins signing, because I think this signing will still get sniffed at. But you've got a player there that, for the last 2 seasons, has got over 25 goal contributions in the league. He has 109 in total. You know, if we're just being honest, he's been better than Haaland for 2 seasons. Now, I'm not saying Haaland is a worse player than Watkins. I think Haaland's the best in the world. But Ollie Watkins has been better than him, in my opinion, for 2 seasons in a row. I also like that Watkins has dealt with adversity. If you look at the start of last year, he had a game against Arsenal. It might have been one of the very first games of the season. He missed about 10 sitters. He was also nearly displaced by John Duran. Morgan Rogers was attacking that position as well. But by the end of the season, it was Ollie Watkins who cemented himself as that position again and showed why he is the main man at Aston Villa. And he overcame that. And I think at Man United, you need experience in overcoming problems and challenges. And Ollie Watkins has done that. So another point is Manchester United last year played well at times, but there was no attacking threat. And that really cost them in the season and in games because they just had nothing. Højlund, Garnacho, Rashford, all of these players, they just offered nothing. There was literally no threat. Next season, you have that front 3. You have arguably, actually, statistically, you have the best front 3 in the Premier League. Because goal contributions wise, Cunha had 24, Ollie Watkins had 21, and Mbeumo had 27. Altogether, that's 51 goals, 21 assists they all got. That's 72 goals. Just those 3 players. No other Premier League combined front 3 had that. Now, maybe Marmoush and Haaland might have, but Marmoush did a lot of his in the Bundesliga. In the actual Premier League, no front 3 had more goals than those 3. Talent-wise, maybe it's not the best. If Liverpool sign Isak, Gakpo, Isak, Salah is pretty difficult to beat. Marmoush, Haaland, and Savinho or Shirky, whoever they play, even, a Neto, Delap, João Pedro is pretty good. And again, Gyökeres, Saka, Martinelli, that's also good. And if they sign Rodrigo or something, that's even better. That makes definitely them a contender for the best. But Cunha, Watkins, and Mbeumo, especially with how good I believe Watkins is, and how good I believe Cunha is, I do think it's a very strong contender, even talent-wise, to be the best front 3 in the Premier League. Next year they will be much better, because last year the problem is they had no threat, and even if they don't sign Watkins, the threat of Mbeumo and Cunha alone will make them much better. I'm not sure on the system though. I think Rubin Amorim has a lot to prove.